Welcome to my channel. Um, the channel is titled "The Chronicles of a Sim Racer," and in this channel, I will chronicle my journey as a sim racer. It's just one aspect of what I do in this game, in this game of life. And sim racing is a passion of mine that started many years ago. And I wanted to start a channel so I could share my experience with others who I think can benefit also from some of the joy that I have gotten from sim racing. My name, I go by the Voice of Source. So, Chronicles of a Sim Racer by the Voice of Source. My goal is to talk everything sim racing, from the pedals that I choose to use to the steering system, the difference between belt-driven wheels and direct drive steering system, the sitting position, the different sims that I play, my favorite, why it is my favorite. I will review certain products, sim racing products, button boxes, triple screens, different rigs, steering system, braking system. I will talk about the difference between a single monitor, triple screens, VR. Of course, I won't discuss all of that in this video. That's just basically an introduction of me and my channel and things to expect from the channel called The Chronicles of a Sim Racer. As you can see right now, this is my rig, my current rig, and I'll give a quick little rundown of where I am now in terms of my rig and the goal, the short-term goal for my rig. When I started, I had a single screen, just one monitor. At the time, I was racing. It was R Factor was the sim at the time, and I was in a Formula One league. We were racing. There's a modern R Factor Formula One. US F1 Racing was the name of the league, and we raced every Monday night, I believe. Anyway, I had a single monitor, and with Formula One, the start is from a standing start. You know, we do the formation lap, we line up on the grid, and we start the race. So from zero, barreling down to turn one. And initially it was a little bit tricky for me going into turn one because with a single screen, perhaps I didn't have the field of view set correctly, but nevertheless, with a single screen, it's very difficult to see what's on either side of you, right? Left side, right side. So I would be a little bit too cautious sometimes a little bit too optimistic. And a handful of times I got caught up in first lap incidents at turn one because obviously I couldn't see as much as I would like to, being that it was a single monitor, relatively small monitor at the time. I think it was a 24-inch monitor at that time. So then I upgraded to a triple screen, and with the triple screen immediately, I saw a huge difference, right? I was much quicker, and especially on the start, going into turn one, I was able to see left and right side, so I could position the car better entering into the corner so as to avoid or take avoiding action against another driver who may themselves be a little bit too optimistic going into the corner. So it benefited me significantly. Not only that, but the level of immersiveness, or whatever the right word is, was tremendous. It's as though I was, a little bit more in the car. Essentially, I was able to see a lot of, my field of view was better. I could see peripherally as well as straight ahead. And in addition to that, I think it helped my spatial awareness. I was aware of everything that was going on around me to some extent. And so, the passion continued from there. A few years later, VR started making its introduction into sim racing, and I started with the CV1, Oculus Rift CV1. And I immediately fell in love with VR, even though the fidelity wasn't quite there yet. I actually felt like I was in the car. And when I started driving some of the GT style cars, that was like, wow, I felt like I was actually in the car. I mean, to some extent, the resolution was a little bit grainy, but I was willing to sacrifice that for the immersion that I felt once going into VR. The problem that I had with VR was that for endurance races, by then I moved to iRacing from R Factor. For endurance races, they tend to get a little bit hot and sweaty. And of course, if you have button boxes and buttons on the steering wheel and keyboard mappings, it becomes a little bit difficult to actually access those because you're in VR and you can't see the keyboard. And so a lot of times I was feeling around trying to see, to cycle through certain things that I want to see. I'm not going to take tires, so uncheck the tires. I'm not going to take a full tank of fuel because the race is almost towards the end, so I'm only need a splash. Different things like that. And so, so here I am at this moment. I'm in VR. I've since graduated from the Oculus Rift to my current HP Reverb GT2 VR headset. And so my current rig, let me give a basic rundown of my current rig. Because I am in VR, I only have the single monitor. And the single monitor is simply to interact with the PC to load the sims and maybe to browse and research and do different things while I'm sitting in the rig, right? I don't use it for racing because I am in VR whenever I'm racing or driving. The actual rig itself is from Next Level Racing, and is the GT track. I also have the Traction Plus system from GT Track as well. This is more about simulating motion, and it helps you to feel, the car sliding around in the corners, understeer, oversteers, hitting the rumble strip and things like that. You get a sense of a little bit more immersion in the game itself. You can kind of feel what the car is doing through the seat of your pants, so to speak. In addition to the Traction Plus system, I have the seat mover also from Next Level Racing. I am not too particularly fond of the seat mover. It seemed to be more of a distraction to me than it is a benefit. Right, the Traction Plus, I can definitely feel how this helps me become more in tune with the sim, with the car, and make adjustments and so forth for understeer, slides, different things like that, right? But with the seat, it seems as it's a little bit, it's clouding the experience for me. Anyway, as far as my steering system, I have, going back to the seat mover, because of how it's designed to sit within the GT track system, it raises the actual seat itself about 6 inches or so higher than normal, which means the pedal tray gave the pedal more of like a tractor trailer type feel, and I didn't like that very much. So what I did was I got some 80-20 tubing, and I create a little bit of a lift so I could lift my pedal high enough to compensate for the 6-inch lift that the seat mover created, obviously, when I installed it. And so that gives me more of a GT style sitting in the car, right? So I don't feel like I'm driving a tractor trailer, which is much more comfortable for me at this point. As far as my steering wheel, I've been to several different belt-driven steering wheel. My very first one was a Logitech G25. Then I went to the G27. I went through a few Fanatec wheels, but here I settled on this several years ago. Was the simxperience AccuForce version 1, the V1. It's a direct drive system, and the heart and soul of the brain box that pushes it is right here. And the steering wheel itself was part of an Fanatec wheel system I purchased years ago. And I was able to convert the wheel to USB and use it with the AccuForce V1. The bits that I used to convert the wheel, I got it from simracing machines in the UK. Very, very, very good site. This fellow, he converts wheels, Fanatec rims to fit with whatever wheelbases you have. You have a lot of accessories and different things on that site. So shout out to simracing machines. It is through him I was able to make my conversion here. If you don't want to do the work yourself, you could send your wheel to him and he will do the conversion for you and send it back. And of course, the pedals that I'm using is Fanatec Club Sport V3. I've been through V1, V2, V3. I had some HPP pedals, which was a hydraulic type system. I spent about $1,000 in them. It was the best pedals that I've had up to now, but the braking system broke. And back in 2020, I was going to purchase a new braking mechanism, but the fellow who creates the pedals told me to go ahead and box it up and send it in, and he will just repair it and send it back for me. Well, that was over 2 years ago. I boxed it up, sent it in, never heard from him. That was some very, very good pedals. In fact, with the HPP system, I was a monster on the brake. I was so confident in the braking events that I was able to brake late without locking the wheels up and able to get the right attitude of the car so I could attack the apex and drive out, track out as I would. It was amazing. I'm not as confident in this load cell pedals, because it seems as though if I'm a bit too aggressive on the brakes, I would lock it up. Perhaps I need to do a better job calibrating the brakes and things like that. But anyway, at the moment, I'm using V3 pedals. And of course, my VR is HP Reverb G2. And the PC is an Alienware PC that has an i9 processor. I think it's a 12 or 1300 something i9 processor. It has an NVIDIA 3090 card. It has 32 gigs of RAM. The NVIDIA video card has about 24 gigs of RAM. And it's a pretty good system for my rig. So this is my current system. And it has served me well over the last few years, but because the VR is not, the fidelity is not quite there. Although I like VR, I've been having a lot of issues with it in terms of the game crashing to the desktop. Of course, the fidelity is not as crisp and not as clear as it should be. Not being able to interact with the button boxes and the keyboard and stuff. So what I will do is build a new rig, which I've been saving for a while now, and go back to triple monitors. I'm going back to triple monitors because I feel that the fidelity in triple monitors, and because I want to stream some of the content that I will be putting on this channel, it makes sense for me to do it from a triple monitor setup. And so let me show you a little bit what the new rig will look like. So so the new rig, and this is my little storage area. Again, I like the Next Level platform. And so I'm going with the FGT Elite, which is more or less a rig that allow you to sit both Formula style, for Formula style vehicles, and GT style vehicles. There's like a hybrid in between Formula and GT style that you can use. So if you don't want to change from the extremes of Formula to GT, you could find the sweet spot in the middle, which is essentially the hybrid. So I went with this rig from Next Level Racing. I also went with the quad monitor stand, and of course the triple screen will have the center screen, the left and the right screen, and of course the quad, the fourth screen will be a little bit on top, where I could position the camera so for while streaming stuff for the site, you could see leaderboard, you could see positions, telemetry data, different things like that. So if that's for the fourth screen, give me a little bit more immersiveness. And then of course here is the actual seat itself that will be sitting on top of the FGT Elite. It is the seat is ES1 Elite Sim Racing seat, and that's also from Next Level Racing as well. And I have some three Samsung 32-inch G5 Odyssey monitor. These are not, I don't think these are 4K monitors. I think these are 1080p monitor. I don't remember at the moment if they're 4K monitors, but that's what I'll be using in my rig. And of course, the steering system is another direct drive, but this time it's from VRS. VRS, they have a driving school. They analyze telemetry, help you become much, much better. I have subscribed to their site, and I get setups, I get telemetry information. I'm able to compare my laps against their laps to see where I'm losing time, what my lines are through certain corners, what gear I am in, entry, apex, exit, throttle, steering input, braking input, slip angles, all these different things. I could use their service to try to help me to become a better sim racer. So they have created a direct drive system, which I purchased from them, which will replace my simxperience AccuForce 1. I think the maximum force on this is either 20 or 25 Newton meters. And I will review this. Once I start setting up the new rig and unboxing this stuff, I will go through each and every component with their separate little review while I'm building out the overall rig. I have two more pieces to apprehend or to purchase. I'm looking for a pedal set, new sets of load cell pedals or hydraulic pedals, and a steering wheel. I'm looking at the Cube Control CSX3, and also I was looking at SimMagic P2000 load cell pedals, but someone last night during the Daytona 24 advised me that I should probably go with the VRS. These guys here also make a pedal set, and from what I understand, their pedal set is very good. So here we have it up to now. Chronicles of a Sim Racer. I will document my journey through sim racing. I will explain a lot of different things. I will review different products. And those of you who are interested in following me through my journey, please like, share, and subscribe. And the next video to come will be the next video to come will be me unboxing this stuff and starting the build for my new rig. In addition to that, what I will do is I also do a little bit of a flight simulation. So I have my my Honeycomb Alpha yoke and my Bravo throttle quadrant here. As you can see, also have my Thrustmaster rudder pedals down there. But I'm using a chair with these things bolted to a desk, and of course my Airbus fly-by-wire controller here. This bolted to a desk. So what I will do is I will reappropriate my Next Level GT track for my flight sim. So I will move all of these to my Next Level GT track, place it somewhere in the corner so that whenever I want to scratch my flight simulator itch, I could do it on a rig purpose built instead of a desk. And then I could use my desk for what I really need it for, which is, browsing the internet, doing research and things like that. Anyway, thank you for tuning in. Please like and share. This is the Voice of Source, chronicling my journey in this game as a sim racer.